They mocked her. Her own mother, Linda Reid, stripped her uniform off the wall and called her a disgrace right before slamming the door in her face. But Evelyn Reid didn't beg. She walked away in silence, carrying medals the world never saw. They thought she'd broken. What they didn't know was that the military had just promoted her to general. Stick around, because the daughter they disowned is about to be saluted by a nation. And the woman who shut the door, she'll be forced to open it again. Share your location and the time you're watching this in the comments section. Hit subscribe so you never miss an upload. Linda Reid's fingers trembled with irritation as she adjusted Megan's pristine uniform collar. The morning sun caught the pearls around her youngest daughter's neck, a cherished family heirloom that represented everything right and proper. Evelyn, as usual, was being difficult. Who shows up to a military graduation in civilian clothes? But then Evelyn had always been the problem child settling for some vague government position instead of following the family's proud military tradition. The base gates approached, and Linda watched through narrowed eyes as Evelyn presented her ID. The guard's sudden stiffening and sharp salute sent an unexpected chill down Linda's spine. "Brigadier General Reid, ma'am." The words shattered Linda's carefully constructed reality like a hammer through glass. At ease, Evelyn's voice carried an authority Linda had never heard before, or perhaps had chosen not to hear. The guard's eyes darted between Linda and Evelyn, confusion evident as he processed the family dynamic unfolding before him. Linda's hands clutched her purse tighter, her wedding ring digging into her finger. This had to be some mistake. Her Evie the difficult one, the disappointment a brigadier general impossible. "There must be some confusion," Linda heard herself say, her voice thin and brittle. "My daughter Megan is the one graduating today. She's the military one in the family." The silence that followed was deafening. Nearby soldiers had stopped to salute, and Megan, her perfect chosen Megan, had gone pale in her cadet uniform. Linda's world began to spin as she watched her carefully maintained narrative crumble. "Mom." Evelyn's voice was quiet, but carried the weight of years of dismissal. "I've been trying to tell you for years, those mysterious desk jobs I've been serving our country at the highest levels, but you never wanted to hear it, did you? It didn't fit your story." A young lieutenant approached with a camera, obviously intending to capture what he thought was a heartwarming family moment. "Brigadier General Reid, would you like a photo with your family before the ceremony?" Linda's pearls felt like they were choking her. The same pearls she'd denied Evelyn, now mockingly perfect around Megan's neck. Her younger daughter's fingers were now touching them uncertainly, as if they burned. "Have you ever wondered?" Evelyn continued her voice, carrying that same commanding tone that had made generals and politicians listen. "Why Dad always smiled when you dismissed my career? He knew Mom. He knew everything." The camera clicked, capturing Linda's face as realization dawned. How many times had she bragged about Megan following the family tradition, while Evelyn sat quietly at holiday dinners? How many times had she showcased Megan's accomplishments while ignoring Evelyn's promotions, her medals, her command? The base loudspeaker crackled to life, announcing the ceremony's imminent start. But Linda barely heard it too, focused on the growing murmurs around them, as more military personnel recognized and saluted her disappointing daughter. Type blind? If you've ever realized you were wrong about someone you thought you knew, flashed across the scene as Linda watched her carefully constructed world dissolve. Would Linda Reid finally see her eldest daughter clearly? Or would her prejudice continue to blind her to the truth, standing right before her eyes decorated in service and honor? The pearls gleamed in the morning sun, their perfection now a damning testimony to years of misplaced favoritism. Linda Reid stood frozen between her two daughters, one in a cadet's uniform she'd helped straighten countless times, the other carrying the authority of a nation she'd chosen not to see. Brigadier General Evelyn Reid's mother, Linda, Reid nervously adjusts her perfectly pressed blouse, watching the sea of uniforms part before her eldest daughter. The same daughter she'd dismissed for years, now commanding respect with every step. Her stomach churns as memories surface. All those forgotten dance recitals, the Georgetown acceptance letter that earned only a distracted, "That's nice," while Megan's every achievement plastered their social media. The base's cold marble floors echo with each step, reminding Linda of another sound, Evelyn's muffled sobs behind her bedroom door after Linda had skipped her high school graduation speech to attend Megan's softball game. "It was just easier with Megan," Linda whispers to herself, fingers tracing the military mom pin she'd worn proudly to every one of Megan's basic training events. Megan was simple, like me. A young lieutenant rushes past, stopping dead in his tracks to salute Evelyn. "Brigadier General Reid, ma'am." The crisp response pierces Linda's carefully constructed reality. Her social media feed flashes through her mind, hundreds of posts about my Megan future soldier, but barely a mention of Evelyn's promotions. Each photo, each proud declaration of my military daughter, feels like evidence now damning proof of her selective pride. Dr. Caroline Martinez's words from last week's family therapy session. Echo. Parental favoritism often stems from self-recognition. We naturally gravitate toward the child who mirrors our own traits, our own dreams. Linda's hands shake as she reaches for her phone, thumbing through years of posts. The algorithm helpfully sorts them 847 posts about Megan. 23 about Evelyn. Research shows that favored children often struggle with inflated self-worth, while the less favored develop remarkable resilience. Linda watches Evelyn command the room during the pre-graduation briefing, her voice steady, authoritative. Like she had to be, Linda thinks bile rising. Because I never was there to speak for her. The military mom pin feels heavier now. A military spouse nearby gushes, "You must be so proud of your daughter." Linda starts to mention Megan's graduation, but the woman's eyes are fixed on Evelyn. "A female brigadier general, that's incredible. You must have supported her every step of the way." Linda's carefully constructed narrative crumbles like sand. Her phone buzzes. Another memory from 7 years ago appears, Evelyn's first promotion ceremony. Linda had sent a text, "Sorry, honey, Megan's got a volleyball tournament." The photo shows Evelyn alone, new bars gleaming on her shoulder, no family in sight. Have you noticed how some mothers create pedestals for certain children while building walls around others? Share below if you've experienced family favoritism. Voices from the past crescendo in Linda's mind. "Mom, I made law review." Met with, "That's nice, dear. Did you see Megan's new uniform?" Each memory strikes like physical blows. The base chapel's bells toll marking time, reminding Linda of every moment she'd measured her daughters with different scales. Scientific studies flash through her mind. Articles she'd frantically researched last night about long-term effects of parental favoritism. Children who experience consistent parental bias show higher rates of anxiety, depression, and damaged self-worth well into adulthood. Linda glances at Evelyn, standing tall despite years of being overshadowed. "No," Linda corrects herself, "because of being overshadowed. By me." The Tashtipur military mom pin catches the fluorescent light, mocking her. This symbol of maternal pride suddenly feels fraudulent, heavy with unspoken apologies and years of misdirected love. Linda unclips it, letting it fall into her purse, where it lands with a soft clink against her phone, still open to her Megan-centric social media shrine. The graduation ceremony looms closer, and Linda feels the weight of 2 decades of bias pressing down on her shoulders. She watches as junior officers snap to attention when Evelyn passes, seeing what she'd refused to see for years. The strength, the leadership, The success she'd minimized because it didn't fit her narrow vision of achievement. The truth settles like lead in her stomach. She hasn't been a military mom. She's been Megan's mom while Evelyn built her career, despite not because of her mother's support. The upcoming ceremony isn't just Megan's graduation. It's Linda's day of reckoning. Linda Reid stared at her elder daughter across the auditorium, her world tilting on its axis. Each whispered general and intelligence division felt like accusations hammering at the carefully constructed reality she'd maintained for decades. Her hands trembled as she clutched her event program, the paper crinkling beneath her whitening knuckles. The truth was spreading through the crowd like wildfire. Parents and officials who had moments ago barely acknowledged Evelyn were now stealing glances, their expressions a mix of awe and deference. Linda's chest tightened as she overheard a colonel explaining to his wife, "That's Brigadier General Reid, youngest female general in intelligence division history." Every achievement Linda had dismissed over the years crashed back into her consciousness. Those business trips Evelyn couldn't discuss, the medals she'd never asked about, the promotions mentioned in passing that Linda had brushed aside, too focused on Megan's latest accomplishments. She'd rewritten her eldest daughter's success into something smaller, more manageable, something that wouldn't overshadow her precious Megan. "Mrs. Reid." A young lieutenant approached, his posture perfect. "We need to move you. The general's security detail requires specific protocols." The word general struck like a physical blow. Linda's eyes darted to where Evelyn sat ramrod straight, her uniform adorned with decorations Linda had never bothered to understand. Memories surfaced unbidden Christmas dinners, where she'd interrupted Evelyn's stories to focus on Megan's latest training milestone. Family photos where she'd positioned Megan front and center, relegating Evelyn to the edges. Years of "Oh, Evie works for the government" dismissals when friends asked about her daughters. A murmur rippled through the crowd as Evelyn rose to take her place on the stage, not in the family section where Linda had insisted she belong, but among the highest-ranking officers present. The overhead lights caught the stars on her shoulder, and Linda felt each one like a judgment. "Your daughter's classified operations saved hundreds of lives last year," someone whispered behind her. Linda's vision blurred with tears she couldn't blame on pride. These were tears of shame, of recognition, of years of willful blindness crumbling under the weight of undeniable truth. Her phone buzzed. A news alert about an upcoming intelligence briefing featuring Brigadier General Evelyn Reid, the same daughter she'd told last week to get a real career like your sister. The ceremony continued, but Linda barely registered Megan's moment. Instead, she watched Evelyn seeing her truly for perhaps the first time. Her elder daughter's quiet power, her contained authority, the respect she commanded without ever raising her voice. Everything Linda had chosen not to see. Type blind if you've ever failed to see someone's true worth, flashed through Linda's mind an imagined social media prompt that felt like a personal indictment. The program in her hands, the one where she'd earlier searched eagerly for Megan's name, now seemed to mock her. There in the list of distinguished guests, Brigadier General Evelyn Reid, Intelligence Division Commander. The ink blurred as tears finally fell. Linda Reid had come to celebrate one daughter's beginning. Instead, she was facing the devastating evidence of how thoroughly she'd failed another. The whispers continued around her, each one a testament to Evelyn's greatness, each one a reminder of a mother's willing blindness. "Have you seen the General's mission success rate, youngest ever to achieve? Presidential commendation." Every word was a mirror reflecting back years of casual cruelty disguised as maternal care. Linda Reid sat alone in her shame, watching her accomplished daughter command respect she'd never thought to give her, while the weight of consequences unseen until this moment threatened to crush her completely. The drill sergeant's voice pierces my carefully constructed world like a bullet. "Linda Reid, that's who I am, that's who I've always been. The mother who knew best, I flinch as the words echo across the parade ground. "Brigadier General Reid, would you do us the honor?" My hands clutch my purse knuckles white against the leather as my eldest daughter rises. The silver pendant I'd given Megan, my favorite, my golden child, feels heavy against my chest now. For 20 years I've worn it as a symbol of my special bond with my younger daughter, but today it burns like a brand of shame. I watch frozen as Evie commands the space with a presence I've willfully ignored for decades. "Stand tall, soldiers." Evie's voice carries with an authority that makes me shrink further into my seat. The sun glints off her civilian clothes I'd once criticized as unfeminine, yet she stands straighter than any uniformed officer present. My carefully maintained narrative of Megan's the successful one crumbles with each word from my eldest daughter's lips. The crowd's reaction is immediate. Phones rise like a forest of accusing eyes recording the moment. I catch fragments of whispered conversations. "That's Brigadier General Reid's mother. The one who..." My cheeks burn as I remember every dismissive comment, every ignored achievement every time I'd introduced Evie as my other daughter. A hashtag appears on the giant screen behind the podium. General's daughter. My stomach lurches as I see photos from earlier today. My obvious fawning over Megan, my cold shoulder to Evie, spreading across social media. My decades of favoritism captured and condemned in real time. The pendant seems to tighten around my neck as memories flood back Evie's graduation from West Point. I'd claimed a migraine and sent a card. Her first promotion ceremony, I'd attended Megan's dance recital instead. Each memory cuts deeper than the last, amplified by the proud faces of young cadets watching their general with undisguised admiration. And now, Evie continues, her voice steady, "I'd like to acknowledge someone special." My heart stops. This is it, the public humiliation I deserve. But Evie's next words shock me more than any rebuke could. "My sister, Second Lieutenant Megan Reid, whose graduation today reminds us that service runs in families." Megan stands, but for the first time I see her differently. Her usual confident smile wavers as she looks at her sister. Not with the entitlement I'd fostered, but with something like awe and shame. The same shame that's crushing my chest. The silver pendant slips from my neck, clattering to the ground. As I bend to retrieve it, a young cadet beats me to it. "Ma'am," she says, her voice tight with meaning, "you dropped this." The pendant dangles between us, catching the sun like an accusation. "Keep it," I whisper, my voice breaking. "It was always wrong to play favorites." The words carry in the sudden silence, and I feel rather than see Evie's head turn slightly in my direction. Comments flood the live stream. About time. Mother learns her lesson. Justice for General Reid. My phone buzzes with notifications as daughter generals. Daughter evolves into general's justice. This moment, my moment of reckoning, is going viral. Drop one if you've ever had to face your own prejudices. The ceremony continues, but I sit in a daze watching my daughters, both my daughters, stand tall in their own right. The pendant now in the young cadet's hands catches the light one last time, before disappearing into her pocket, taking with it 20 years of misplaced pride and painful favoritism. As the crowds disperse, I remain seated, my purse empty of the weight I've carried for so long. Tomorrow there will be conversations, apologies, perhaps even tears. But today, under the unforgiving sun of the parade ground, Linda Reid finally faces the truth. I wasn't just wrong about Evie. I was wrong about what makes a mother worthy of her children's achievements. The drill sergeant's voice fades, but the truth echoes. Sometimes the bravest act is admitting you've been the villain in your own family story. Share if you believe it's never too late to right a wrong. General's justice. Linda Reid stands frozen in the military academy's grand reception hall, her fingers absently tracing the outline of the pearl necklace she'd given Megan years ago. The same necklace, she now realizes, symbolizes decades of unconscious favoritism. The sound of measured footsteps echoes through the marble corridors as her eldest daughter, Brigadier General Evelyn Reid, approaches her younger sister Megan with perfect military precision. The weight of her actions crashes down as Linda watches their interaction. Evelyn's spine is ramrod straight, her decorated uniform, a testament to achievements won without maternal championing. "Congratulations on your graduation, Lieutenant," Evelyn says to Megan, her tone professionally cordial, but devoid of the sisterly warmth that should have been there. Linda's heart constricts, recognizing how her years of doting on Megan have carved this chasm between her daughters. A nearby conversation catches Linda's attention. "Did you know the Brigadier General built her career entirely on merit, never once used her family connections?" one officer whispers to another. The words strike Linda like physical blows. Every piano recital she'd missed, every academic achievement she'd understated, every time she'd pushed Evelyn aside to spotlight Megan. They all parade through her mind in merciless detail. Linda clutches her own pearl necklace, the one she'd kept for herself, instead of giving to Evelyn, and the cold beads seem to burn against her skin. The jewelry box she'd brought today, containing a belated gift for Evelyn, feels worthless now. What good is a strand of pearls against years of emotional neglect? "I'm afraid I have other obligations to attend to," Evelyn announces, cutting short her conversation with Megan. As she turns to leave her medals catching the light, Linda sees not just a decorated officer, but a daughter who succeeded despite her mother's failures. Reid Legacy begins trending on military family forums, celebrating Evelyn's achievements and unintentionally highlighting Linda's years of favoritism. Taking a deep breath, Linda approaches Evelyn. "I was wrong," she says, her voice trembling. "I see now what I've done, how I've hurt you." Evelyn's response is measured, controlled. "Thank you for your acknowledgement, Mrs. Reid." The formal address feels like a court-martial verdict. In that moment, Linda understands the ultimate truth. Love isn't a finite resource to be rationed between children. Her attempts to boost Megan had only succeeded in diminishing them both, Evelyn through neglect and Megan through dependency. Type healing if you believe it's never too late to acknowledge our mistakes. The pearl necklace finds a new home that evening, in a display case at the Academy's museum, donated anonymously alongside a plaque that reads, "In honor of those who succeeded, not because of privilege, but despite its absence." Linda's name isn't on it. This isn't about her anymore. As she watches Evelyn deliver the graduation ceremony's keynote speech, Linda finally accepts that her daughter doesn't need her validation anymore. The young girl who once craved her mother's attention has become a woman who commands respect through her own merit. The healing Linda realizes won't come through grand gestures or belated gifts, but through the quiet acknowledgement of truth and the patience to accept whatever relationship Evelyn is willing to offer. Share this story if you've ever had to face the consequences of playing favorites. Linda's journey ends not with reconciliation, but with understanding. Some damage can't be undone, but it can be acknowledged. As she leaves the ceremony alone, she passes her reflection in a window and sees herself clearly for the first time, not as the mother she thought she was, but as the mother she had been. The sound of her heels clicking against the floor echoes with finality, each step carrying her away from the woman who played favorites toward the mother who finally learned to see both her daughters in full light.